Hey gang, Dead Girl here. I hope you guys have had a lovely, lovely weekend. It's Sunday night here at Horror Happenings. And tonight with me, I have a very special guest. I have Casey with us with Darkheart Kreations. First and foremost, welcome and thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, right on. Thanks for having me.
Now, there's some people out there who may not be too familiar with you or your work, so if you don't mind, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I own a creature and prop shop here in Orlando. I make things from small statues to actually life-size props and stuff. Sometimes for the parks and sometimes for custom people that, that order stuff, that want things like that.
Very cool. What got you into doing these larger props? I know you and I talked a little bit before we started the show, and you were doing some tattoos, and it looks like you've kind of made that transition into the bigger pieces. How did that all come into play?
Yeah, actually, I got into scenic art for a while, but right when I was tattooing as well, I was doing both in tandem, and started working on props and painting, and started working on bigger projects for the theme parks, and then I just kind of broke off, and now I'm doing my own thing.
Very cool. Now, what got you into doing it? Was it something that you've always been interested in when you were a kid, or is it something as you got older you were like, hey, I see this cool prop, I bet I could do that?
I would say, just inspiration from maybe comic books or movies or something like that. I've always wanted to do that kind of thing, and then I just started trying to do it, and I just kind of learned, and as I went, that's why I got into scenic art. Try to learn how to do stuff that I've seen that I thought was awesome.
Very cool. And how long have you been doing it?
My personal business or scenic art and props in general?
Well, all of the above.
I've been doing the scenic art for about 5 years now, and I've been doing props and stuff for about 2 years now. My own business.
Very cool. Now, do you prefer to do your own creations, or do you enjoy recreating different things more? Which one would you say that you kind of favor?
It's always nice to do your own creatures and have people enjoy them and buy them, but I'm kind of nerdy and stuff, so I like the comic book and the horror creatures and stuff, so I enjoy doing those as well.
Yeah, I see you've got some of your friends joining you behind you there, watching over your shoulder.
Yeah, the Silent Hill nurse and a couple of the other guys out there.
Those are fantastic. Are those all for sale, or have they been spoken for?
One of them over there is for sale. The Corpus Bride is for sale. I mean, not for sale, but she's already been bought. But every one of the other ones are for sale.
Oh, fantastic. I know I kind of stole a couple of pieces here just to get a closer look at some of the stuff that you do. So if you don't mind, I want to start off with some of the flat pieces that you've worked on that are absolutely beautiful. I love these pieces. I think that they're phenomenal. What inspired you to do both of these? Because they're both very different.
Well, the first one is the Bram Stoker's Dracula plaque. It's from the movie. I'm a big fan of Bram Stoker's, so I decided why not make that one. The Skull Moon was a sketch in one of my sketchbooks, and I decided to make a sculpture and a plaque of that. So that's kind of how that turned out.
Now, do they do something like this? Do they normally take you like the same amount of time? Does one normally take longer than the other? I'm assuming the more colorful takes a little bit longer because you're adding more colors to it and a little bit more depth.
Really, they take about equal amount of time, maybe about 2 days. They both average about 2 days, maybe 3 sometimes, depending on if I'm waiting for something to dry. But I'd say about 2 or 3 days for each of those.
Wow, and you hand sculpt all of these?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You're ridiculously talented, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Now, what kind of clay do you work in? Do you work in monster clay, or do you use a wet clay?
Currently, I don't use either one. I usually hand sculpt out of foam, and then I cover it with epoxy sculpt. That's kind of what the big busts are. They're carved out of foam, and then I cover it, and I do the details with epoxy sculpt, and then I paint them. Wow. They're like ready to paint right after you sculpt it, so it kind of skips a step. Now, if I plan on making molds of something, then I usually use monster clay, and then I'll sculpt it, and then I'll make the mold that way.
Wow.
But usually my one-offs are foam into pocket.
Now, do you usually do multiple pieces of one of these, or do you just kind of do them one at a time, or does it really depend on if someone reaches out to you and they're like, hey, can you make another one of those?
Yeah, I kind of fill it out, I post it, and then people kind of, like, I see how many people reach out about it, and then that really what decides if I make a mold of something or not. If it's just like, one or two people, then maybe I would just make, one-offs. But if it's something like more and more people are reaching out, then I usually make a mold of it. So it makes life easier because, it usually takes me about 7 days from start to finish on a life-size bust. And, if a lot of people are ordering at the same time, then it'll definitely add up time. I won't be able to get to them, the way I'd like to them.
Right. Now, your Silent Hill nurse back there is pretty big, and that's an awesome piece. Something like her, how long does that usually take you to do? I'm assuming definitely a lot longer than the other ones because it's, of course, bigger.
I would say about 2 weeks. I think it took me about 2 weeks from start to finish to make her.
And is that the same process where you do the foam first, or was she a different?
Yeah, she was kind of a different process. I got part of a mannequin, and then I did a epoxy sculpt on top of that and did all the details that way. It kind of cut the time down a lot, so it made it a lot easier.
Gotcha. She's gorgeous. I know my husband's a big fan of her. He's chiming in the chat room how much he loves her, and you're getting lots of love from people in the chat about how amazing the work is. And I mean, it looks great from afar, but I want to show you guys some close-up stuff because I don't have words. I saw it and I immediately was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So let's pop over. This one, I've got a couple of different ones. I've got that corpse bride that you've got behind you. I've got a closer piece of her. And then I forget his name, the clown spawn.
The Violator. The Violator spawn.
Yes. Now these are awesome pieces. Were these specifically commissioned by people, or were these two of the things that you were like, you know what, I really dig these. I bet I could make them. Let's just do it.
That's kind of what it was. I seen them and I was like, man, that would be really cool as life-size bust, And like I said, I'm a comic book fan, so I'm trying to do more comic book stuff. So I decided to do the Violator piece.
Yeah, he's really cool, and I know the spawn that you've got back behind you is amazing. I posted some pictures of him earlier, and he's back behind your soldier there. You did an awesome job with both of those. Is that something that you would consider selling as a set, or would you do them separately?
Well, the Violator's already been bought.
Oh, nice.
He's already been bought. But I think the same day I posted him, somebody rang in and was like, hey, I need this. And I'm like, okay, So he's already gone. But I have no problem. It take me about 4 or 5 days to remake him. So if someone wanted a set of Spawn and Violator, I could just remake it.
Nice. That's awesome. And for those of you that are, just checking us out, if you go ahead and peek down in the chat, a friend of ours, Cheryl, actually posted your Etsy shop, but I know you work more of, reaching out to you through Facebook than you do on the Etsy anymore. Is that right?
Yeah, it's easier, and if you're local, it's way cheaper. I've got prices on my Etsy shop, but it's kind of the balanced charges that they like to do. But if you're local, you can come pick it up. It would be cheaper and easier, and then you don't have to worry about shipping and get all banged up in shipping. Because sometimes they like to kick your boxes around and stuff.
Yeah, we know how delicate the post office or UPS or even FedEx is when handling any items, really. They tend to just kind of drop kick them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I can't. It drives me nuts. Let's take a look at some other stuff that you've worked on. These are, of course, some of my favorites because you've got two of the classic monsters, and then, of course, you have one of my favorite creatures that was in Hellboy. So you have Abe Sapien, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and then you've got Nosferatu. And these three are so different and so beautiful, really. was that the same thing? Whereas then it's just stems from your love of those particular movies. You were like, hey, I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. All favorite movies, all favorite creatures. I'm kind of doing those at the moment. But someone wants a custom piece, I can make any creature, any character they want.
And would you do custom paint as well? So, like, for example, if somebody said to you, hey, I want a creature, but can you do him in grayscale instead of the color?
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to do it. Yes. That'd be a really cool concept.
Now, do you sell them with any type of stand or anything, or do they just kind of stand up on their own? How would someone display, something like this?
They're built with a stand in them. They stand on their own without any kind of, I guess, help, because the stand is built into the prop.
Oh,
so
yay.
Ready to set, they're ready. They're not propped up by anything except for what they're made with,
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'm sure, for people that are buying them, it makes life a lot easier, so they're not trying to figure out, well, I bought this awesome piece, how do I stand it up now?
Yeah, you really can't see because the way they're contoured, but yeah, they've got the stand built into their back where they stand, so they're like slender, so they can fit really in a good place, and it makes it easier to display.
That's fantastic. And I gotta ask, and I don't know if offhand what's the weight limit on some of those? Because some of them I know are a little bit larger than others. So are they very heavy, or are they actually a little bit lighter?
They're lighter than you think because they've got foam in them. They range from about 3 pounds to about 5 pounds, depending on which one. The creature probably is the one that took the most stuff to build, so he's like 4.8 pounds, 4 pounds, 8 ounces, I mean.
Oh, wow.
That's the heaviest one. But all the rest of the ones are in the 3 range. They're kind of pretty close to that.
Okay, that's awesome. What's the biggest one that you've done to date? Is that the nurse, or have you done anything bigger than her?
No, I did an anime character, Kid Buu. I did a full-size Kid Buu for someone.
Nice.
And that's the biggest one I've done so far.
Wow,
it was really cool. I built some brackets in his back, and he was putting a pose where like he was hanging onto the wall, and it was really neat. It looked cool hanging on the wall. So.
Oh, that's awesome. See, so if you guys are looking for that dream piece or something custom, then Casey is definitely someone that you want to reach out, to. Clearly, his work speaks for itself. It's absolutely beautiful pieces. And I know you've got some original pieces, too, that I've got down here that I also wanted to show a little bit closer. You've got them behind you, too, which I think is fantastic. So just to give us a little bit of a closer look, these two are just wicked on so many levels. Can you give us a little backstory on them?
Both of them were sketches as well in my sketchbook. The first one is Gluttony. It's supposed to be my spin on Gluttony. And then the other one was just another sketch, and its name is Halo. And it's got nail spikes in his head.
Now, I gotta ask, how many teeth are on Gluttony? Because that's a lot of teeth.
I don't know that I know the count of that, but yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot making them, and then it was a lot painting them, sure.
Did it get to that point where you were just working on teeth and you were like, oh God, I can't do teeth anymore. I'm just...
I painted those last.
Oh, I bet. Those are awesome. Now I gotta ask, what are you painting them with?
Painting them with acrylics usually, and then I clear coat them with Modern Masters. Usually a matte or satin, something like that. Whatever it calls for. If something needs to be wet or slimy, then I do like a high gloss or something to make it look wet. But usually it's like a matte clear coat to seal the paint.
Yeah, it's got this really fun Del Toro / a little bit of Clive Barker inspired look to both of them.
I'll take that. That's a great compliment.
I mean, that's kind of the first thing that I thought of. Well, with the Gluttony, you reminded me of the what was she? The ballerina from Cabin in the Woods, just with all the teeth. It was very reminiscent of that piece, which I absolutely love, and I think that's probably why it's my favorite, the ridiculous amount of teeth on her. It's very frightening.
That'd be a really cool prop.
Could you imagine doing just the giant life size of her and then just putting it in various parts of the house, just moving it at random?
I don't know if my girlfriend would like that. She already was like, "Oh my God," about the Silent Hill nurse. Because at first it was moving in different parts of the house, and she was like, "Keep it in one spot." You know, 'cause
So that's something my husband would do. He would sporadically place it so that I never knew where it was. He'd put it in one spot one day and then move it the next day.
yeah.
Now, with some of these, they're, again, absolutely amazing pieces of work. What's something that's in your head that you haven't gotten the chance to do yet? Like, what's a dream project for you?
Dream project, like I would like to do a lot more full body creatures, whether if it's zombies or Frankenstein or any of the classic horror creatures would be great.
And I see you've got a little Wolfman back on the wall there behind you. Have you thought about doing a Wolfman bust or even a full-size Wolfman?
That wolf head up there is a custom one that I did. Yeah, that's something I did. I got a post of it on my page, but I hand laid the hair, and it's like
Wow.
sculpted from scratch and everything. It's one of my pieces.
Oh, he's beautiful. I love him. I appreciate very much the time that it takes to do the hair work, because I've watched people do it, and I'm just like, wow. I have a whole lot of respect for people that lay their own hair.
Yeah, it took some time. It's the first thing I hand laid hair on, and I think it sorted out all right. But
Oh, it looks
just
awesome.
some time for sure.
It looks phenomenal. I love it. I've got some people chiming in the chat that you need to make the Silent Hill nurse rotate on her own. Just do those little jerky movements like in the game.
I need to find somebody that does some animatronics so I can get some stuff that moves. That'd be great.
There you go. Anybody in the chat, if I get any animatronic people in there, hit up Casey. Come up with some weird stuff, man. That would be creepy on its own. Like, you think your girlfriend's weirded out now about putting her in different places? Could you imagine if she just jerked?
She's like, no.
I don't blame her. Those things, playing the games, those things always kind of creeped me out. Like, Pyramid Head didn't really bother me. It was the nurses that got me, like, every time.
Yeah.
Every time. She's phenomenal, and I love her. And I know right now this year is kind of a bust. I hate to say it that way when it comes to like conventions or art galleries or things like that, just because, everybody's still social distancing and trying to slow the spread and all those things. And I know we talked a little bit earlier. You had mentioned that you were going to do a convention this year, but things happened and it was canceled, which I believe was Spooky Empire. And you talked about possibly doing that show in the spring, which I want to say is the end of April. Is that something that you're still planning on doing? Or are you going to be creating more things specifically for that?
Yeah, actually, I plan on frequenting the Spooky Empire in general, like ongoing, and a couple of the other conventions that's going on. I'm going to try to be a part of that every year so people can find me easier. And people that are local that wants commissions, they can come talk to me. It'll be easier to talk to, except, besides doing it through text or messaging like that. It's a little bit easier to talk in person about stuff, projects.
Yeah, sometimes things over text don't always convey correctly or, lost in translation. So I can definitely appreciate that. And that's something that I think would be huge with the spooky crowd, just because it's a horror crowd and most of the work that you've got behind you, is horror stuff, and it's stuff that's kind of near and dear to our hearts. So I think that would speak to a lot of those folks that attend, that type of convention. So I think that's fantastic. Have you thought about reaching out to any of the local businesses or art galleries to see if maybe you could get a piece in there? Because, God, that'd be really cool.
I've reached out to a couple of businesses, but I don't really get any kind of response yet, or I haven't had any luck with that. Not really reached out to any galleries yet. I see posts every now and again of reaching out for artists to do a part of that, but I just haven't had the time to do it yet.
Gotcha.
But it is something that I'm definitely interested in the future. when things kind of open back up.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's also that. So that kind of sucks. But if you guys are interested in getting something done, whether it's custom, from Casey, please hit him up on Facebook. I'll make sure that we get his contact information. And then for those of you watching the replay on YouTube, I'll make sure that I throw a link into his page and his Instagram so that you can check out, more of his work. The stuff that you've got behind you there, what pieces do you currently have available for sale? I know you've got some of them are already spoken for.
The Silent Hill Nurse, the Halo, the Gluttony's for sale, and the Spawn is for sale. The only one that's not for sale is the Corpse Bride. She's already sold. But all the rest of the pieces, minus the Violator, are available at my Etsy shop. Or, like I said, if you're local, it's going to be a bit cheaper if you come pick it up if you're a local person. If there's any of those pieces that you're interested in.
And where are you located at logistically?
I'm actually right here next to, in Metro West, next to Universal Studios.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of Orlando, downtown-ish, sort of. Okay, perfect. So you're not too long from anybody. And I've got a bunch of people in the chat going, yeah, man, that'd be a great holiday, Christmas gift, birthday present. I think some people are trying to hint at some things, so that's always a good thing. Now, I know, you talked about doing some larger pieces. Do you also do stuff that's a lot smaller? I know you have the plaques, and those are good sizes too. Do you do anything that's smaller than that, or is that usually, the smallest that you go?
No, I do really small. I've got a death snail that I've made, and it's like a life-size snail with a skull on its back. I have this little guy here. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
So I go tiny, pretty
tiny.
Oh,
he's rad.
And then I do some mandrakes. Have you seen the mandrakes that I do from Harry Potter? I do the mandrake, little baby mandrakes.
And they come in the pots too, right?
Yeah, they're in a little pot here.
Oh, check him out. He's awesome.
I think I've got a realistic troll that I do, and just a couple of small things, but I do small things by request as well. If you don't have the money to spend for the biggest stuff, then I definitely will do custom pieces that are smaller, that you can afford if you can't afford the larger thing.
And are a little more budget friendly. Because those are phenomenal, but not everybody can afford those. So it's good to know that you've got that variety, that you're do smaller pieces, so that folks out there can definitely get something for themselves or their friends or family or whoever. But yeah, I've got a few people chiming in the chat, that you're very responsive on Facebook, which you definitely are. I can attest to that, and I appreciate that very much. Are you currently working on anything new right now, or are you just kind of taking a little bit of a break?
No, I've got several commissions that are going, and I'm doing some Ninja Turtle stuff right now. I'm doing a bust of Bebop and Rocksteady for a guy, and also got some other bigger busts and pieces coming up. So I've got some stuff coming in, but I've still got space to do some custom or commission work if somebody would like to get some stuff made.
Very awesome. And again, you guys can reach out to Casey through his Facebook page. I'll link him down below. And that's going to be through your personal page. Because I know we talked about this earlier. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in the realm that is Facebook between pages and Instagram and everything else. So if you guys are looking to reach out to him, you can find him under Casey Omar Cross on Facebook. Shoot him a message. Buy some stuff. Because, yeah, dude, it really is amazing. And your work, again, speaks for itself. Your attention to detail is absolutely beautiful. And I do want to show off, again, that, just as an example, your Abe Sapien, your Creature, and your Nosferatu. Because, look at the scales. Like, all those little itty-bitty scales on Creature are just... wow. That kind of stuff would probably drive me crazy.
It really didn't take as long as you think.
No?
No, I mean, I didn't say I didn't saying I did it in 5 minutes, but it really didn't take a long time.
Yeah, they're God. Like I said, it's just the detail and it's gorgeous, and even the size for the gills on him, and then with Abe Sapien too, the little fleshy mark and his gills, and his eyes, the colorization there is absolutely beautiful. Do you hand paint all of them, or do you airbrush them at all?
I do both. I airbrush and I paint, depending on, I guess, what makes it look nicer. I paintbrush with acrylic and then airbrush with acrylic as well. Sometimes you can't get the same fades with a paintbrush, so you gotta bust out the airbrush.
Yeah, they're wow. Again, just wow, dude. It's awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. Let's see here. So does anybody, I'm going to open it up real quick and see if anybody in the chat has any questions for you while we're, sitting here kind of hanging out on this awesome Sunday evening. I noticed the painting that you have in the background, the octopus skull. At least that's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's really what it is.
That's exactly what it is. I just recently got into painting on canvas with acrylics. And actually, that's the second painting that I've done was that one.
Oh,
and
it's so pretty.
I don't know if you've seen the snake one that I did, but that's the third one that I did. And those, I'll be planning on making prints of those, and they'll be available as well on canvas.
Oh, wow. So you're going to do your prints on canvas, too?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what sizes are you planning on doing? Are you going to do, like, the larger ones, or are you going to keep them kind of small?
At the smallest, I think I'm going to do the 18 by 24. That's what it is. And I think I'm going to keep it at that. If someone wants it larger, then I'm totally open to that. I guess if someone wants it smaller, I'm open to that. But I would like to keep them at the 18-24 top size.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Because that's a pretty good size, and you can still get a lot of work done on that, as opposed to trying to go into the tiny details on the smaller canvas for sure. I'm blown away. I absolutely, again, love your work. My husband's a big fan as well. I think it's awesome. I'm very excited that you're open to taking commissions. So I may have to chat with you at a later time on some things.
Sounds good. I'm definitely stoked about it.
Definitely. Let's see here. Let me see if we got any questions in the chat. Nothing but love, man. Nothing but lots of positivity and good comments, and quite a few people loving the baby mandrake. I mean, they're a very cool piece, that's for sure. And I've seen it done like previously, and I'm not knocking anybody, so I'm not naming any names, but I've seen it done previously where it's not as detailed. So I like that you've got all the little creases in there, all the tiny little details done. I mean, even to the the plants on his head.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it's sorted out.
Now, I do have to ask, and I've got a question here in the chat asking, how you actually painted the octoskull.
The octoskull?
Yes.
Oh, I painted some of the small details with a toothpick.
Did you really?
Yeah. I don't know if you ever can see it. That's posted on my page, but if you see all that small detail that looked like it took forever, well, it did, because I did it with a toothpick.
Wow, that's a lot of I commend you. That is a lot of patience that I don't have, so I got nothing but respect for you for that one, because man, that's awesome. And I mean, again, when you can't find a brush or anything that small to get a certain detail, then you got to kind of improvise a little bit.
Yeah, it works. It keeps that consistent thin line, and so when you start trying to push really tight detail in a small space, it works. It does the job.
Yes. Now, I've got people saying that you should do tackle one of the Hellraiser characters, like tackle one of the Cenobites.
Oh, that'd be great. I like all of them. All of them.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Real cool texture. It'd be really awesome.
Yes. I'm partial to the female Cenobite. She is my absolute favorite. I love the throat rip of her. She's always intrigued me.
Well,
Very cool. I love her. Let's see what else we got here. Just checking our chat room, see if we got anybody chiming in. Again, you know, all the love, which is awesome. Let's see here. Very, very cool. Now, when you decide that you're going to do, you know, one of these pieces, do you normally just kind of sit there and sketch it out firsthand, or do you just go for it all in?
I usually just go for it all in. I sculpt pretty often, so I kind of really know what it's going to take and what direction I need to go right from the get-go, really. So, I mean, I only really sketch something out sometimes if I'm doing custom pieces for people, because sometimes people are like, hey, would you sketch it out for me? I would like to see where you're going. You know, some people are not okay with you be like, hey, I'm just going to go at it and get it done. It makes them feel a little bit more comfortable if you sketch it out for them. So I do sometimes, but most of the time I just get it done.
Just kind of jump in and do it to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do understand about the process, though, because, you know, maybe somebody wants to change something or add something to it as you're working. So, you know, I get that. But I tend to enjoy watching the process. Have you thought of doing any kind of live streaming or anything to show people your process, or, you know, sculpting or anything?
I get a lot of that, really. People that give me feedback, they ask me if I'm going to do any tutorials or any kind of YouTube videos like that. Again, it's something that I'm definitely interested in doing. It's with the commissions coming in, I don't have time to sit there and do the video thing. I mean, not yet, but I'm going to try to make some space for it for sure.
Yeah. I think that'd be a cool idea. Or do even like a time lapse of putting one together so you can see it from, you know, start to finish. I think that'd be a really cool feature for folks to see, because a lot of people are very much into the processes. Of course, we all love the finished product, but a lot of people very much like to see, you know, the actual process of it, and they like to see it from, you know, a ball of clay or a ball of foam to that finished piece. And I know you post a lot of the sculpture pictures and stuff I've seen on your page, and it's just blows me away because they look just as good, you know, when you're done. So it's like they look just amazing. All right, let's see here. Do we have any other questions from anybody else in the chat this evening with us? Again, you can reach Casey under Casey Omar Cross. He's on Facebook. He's also on Instagram. Which is better for you, Facebook or Instagram, as far as someone getting a hold of you commission-wise?
Those are both equally. I'm pretty responsive on both. I mean, pretty fast response on Instagram, more of my Facebook.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, so hit Casey up for a commission, or all the pieces behind him, with the exception of the Corpse Bride, are available for sale. You can reach out to Casey for pricing information, or if you would like your own Corpse Bride, I'm sure he'd be happy to do another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just definitely reach out to him and you know, get that done. Well, I appreciate you coming on this evening and chatting with us and sharing your process and sharing your amazing artwork. I think it's fantastic, and I honestly can't wait to see, you know, what else you come up with. I'm excited to kind of watch and see what comes from you.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me on. It was awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. For those of you watching this on the replay on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And again, the information for Casey will be down below in the description box, so make sure that you hit him up for your custom needs. And if you're local to Orlando, you know, you don't need to worry about shipping. You can just reach out and pick it up and save yourself that UPS headache.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, thank you so much for coming on, Casey. And remember, everybody, until next time, make sure that you keep it spooky.
Thanks.